Okay, it's Rutgers versus Maryland coming up at home in the Who Gets a Shot at the Postseason Bowl, and Rutgers gets a win against Ryder. And I gotta be honest, I didn't hate how they looked. Let's get to it. Okay, so Rutgers gets a big win at the Rack. Yes, I still call it the Rack. I'm not calling it a place where I go to get my sandwiches. Nonetheless, as an 18.5 point favorite, Rutgers comes away with a big win. We'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, I didn't hate how they looked. They kind of looked like Rutgers. Nonetheless, let's talk Rutgers and Maryland. Okay, so this is a game that's pretty important for a couple of, at best, middling Big Ten teams to see who's going to have the opportunity to make the postseason and get to a bowl game. For us, this is, it's the Maryland season, and it's a Hail Mary for us insofar as getting to a bowl game. We beat Maryland, and then, you beat Penn State, you're going bowling. And if you can get a win in a bowl game, go 7-6, having beaten the Penn State team, no matter how bad they are, the season isn't a total loss. That being said, you can't pencil in victories. There is a long road to hoe for Rutgers and Maryland as well. By the way, my name is Tom. I always forget that. I hope you are enjoying a terrific week and a Wednesday, hump day, wind down Wednesday, whiskey Wednesday, whatever you wish to call today. So we've talked about Maryland a few times this year. Going back to the beginning of the year when I kind of saw where we were going to go. And, at the beginning of the year, you pencil in wins. You're thinking, okay, Minnesota, that's probably a win. Although it's a toss-up in Maryland, that's a win. And it was not so much. Malik Washington, 4- or 5-star recruit, is going to be a problem. So we've talked about that a little bit. And Maryland, this is not a typical Mike Locksley team where it's a high-powered offense and they're rolling up the yards and the scoring. But it is a typical Mike Locksley team where they get off to a good start and then, they hit their second half slump. Not unlike we do, to be honest with you. So they have a voluminous passing game. They like to throw it a lot, but they're not terribly efficient. We've talked about that. They can't run the ball. We've talked about that a lot. So they're a team, when it comes to pass attempts, they're top 5, top 6, top 8 in the country. But when it comes to scoring, they're not. And when it comes to completion percentage, they're terrible. And yards per pass, yards per attempt, they're also terrible. So it's an odd kind of team in that, they like to throw it a lot, but they don't get much. They don't get much out of it. They average about 23 points per game, but they also give up about 23 points a game. So not a Mike Locksley team in that their defense is the stronger unit on the Maryland team. Their 332 yards per game is 102nd. But again, their defense is a little better to give up 333 yards a game. That's ranked 78th. Yards per play on offense, 5.1, which is 94th. And again, on defense, they give up 5.1, but that's ranked 39th in the country. So where you typically would worry about explosive plays with a Maryland offense, it's not necessarily the case. Third down on offense, they're 87th. On defense, they're 48th. So you see that pattern. Fourth down on offense, they're 122nd. But on defense, they're 47th. Red zone, 107th in the country on offense. Not great on defense, 86th. So we talk about red zone opportunities a lot, how we don't fare well on offense or defense. Here's the thing where, once again, we talk about whose weakness will prevail. We can't let Maryland score, Malik Washington make plays in the red zone. And by the way, if we get down there, can we get something other than a field goal? And like we talked about passing, the passing play percentage, number 5 in the country. They pass it a lot, number 8 in attempts. But they're only number 46 in yards per game. So they throw a lot, don't complete it a lot. And, that's not unlike Purdue, kind of inefficient. Want to throw it, like to throw it, doesn't result in touchdowns or efficiency or production. Their completion percentage, 115th in the country. Yards per pass, 121st in the country. On defense, though, defending the pass, they're 27th. They get turnovers. They like to intercept it. We'll get to that. And they are, but offensively in the pass game, they're number 16 in interception percentage and number 1 in interceptions on defense. I think it might have been Florida, Atlantic. What did they get in that game? Like 6 or 8 turnovers, a whole bunch of interceptions. So obviously not turning it over will be a significant part of the game if you expect to get a win against Maryland, and which should be a close game. Maryland 1.5 point favorites on the road. Turnover margin, Maryland they're number 15 in the country, but again, that goes mostly to their defense. Getting those turnovers, they like to take it away. And they are number 1 in interceptions. So don't turn it over. Don't let the defense rattle Ethan into a sack. Our sack percentage is not great. Ethan does tend to get sacked fairly often. And don't allow pressure to make Ethan get happy feet and be out of rhythm. He gets in those parts of the game, particularly in the beginning where, like he was against Purdue and Illinois, literally out of rhythm. He's not in sync with the receivers, and don't want him seeing ghosts and forcing plays. So, and what we have to do to be successful is not, and we talk about this all the time when we talk about how we match up against teams, what it is they do well and not do well. We can't let Malik Washington all of a sudden turn into, Joe Montana. He'll make his plays. He'll make some plays with his arm. He can run it, won't run it a lot, but it's very mobile, has good pocket awareness and skills. You can't let their subpar rushing game gash us. That happened against Purdue. And as I talked about, we can't allow the Maryland defense to harass Ethan into turnovers, not finishing drives, having to settle for field goals. We need to control the ball because Maryland's time of possession, as you might expect, is terrible. If you're inefficient in the passing game, you don't run it very well, you're not going to have the ball a whole lot. So if you can control the ball by running effectively, making your passes down the field, moving the sticks, getting first downs, and have to force Maryland into forcing themselves into making plays and making mistakes and not being efficient, there's some opportunities to win the game there. This isn't a game. We can't give up 35, 40 points to Maryland. They average 23 points a game. Now, that being said, they've hung in. You know, they were in it against Oregon early. They were in it against Indiana early. So they have the propensity. Early on, I expect Maryland probably to be leading this game. Unless we're able to, we win the coin toss, we opt to take, we should opt to receive the ball. And then we're just in one of those things where we're executing on an initial drive. And we've seen Nathan in the offense do that this year. Nonetheless, here is this, said it last week against Illinois because I felt Illinois was a better opportunity to win than Penn State. I think Penn State is just much more talented than we are. So, won't be a shootout, shouldn't be a shootout. Neither offense is any good. We don't, despite our new and improved offense, we don't score a lot in the Big Ten. We're averaging like on 20 points per game. So if this is a 23-20, 27-24, 24-21 kind of game, either way, I wouldn't be shocked. That being said, okay, all is right in Piscataway as Rutgers beats in-state rivals Ryder. I think it's pretty good in wrestling, right? Aren't they pretty good in wrestling? 81-53, 28-point win. And this team looks like Rutgers. We don't have two top 5 recruits, but it kind of looks like a Rutgers team. All is well. I feel kind of comfortable. Half-court game. You go, 10 minutes without scoring. You miss 14, 10 shots in a row, 14 out of 15. You have to go, get sprinting out to a good lead. And all of a sudden, the opposing team is crawling back in it. And you're going into halftime. You're saying, oh, my God, here we go. The going cold with shooting, the going cold with free throw shooting. And then pulling it all together and pulling out a win despite the inefficiencies. It just feels real cozy and comfy. This is what we know the Rutgers team to be. I know Coach after the game was not happy with some of the offensive rebounding. Rebounding was kind of close overall. We had one more rebound than Ryder, but I think, on the offensive boards, we got killed. Some observations and surprises, and there were some. Going into the season, all the people who report on Rutgers basketball, all was saying, where the points coming from? Who's going to score? And there was speculation about that. And I think I said way back when, with Richie and Mike on the night report, that it's probably going to be Tariq Francis, and they thought maybe not. They didn't think so, that he wouldn't get enough opportunities, and I thought, hey, he's a volume kind of shooter, so even by default, if he's inefficient and scores 13 a game, he might be the guy. Tonight, let's start with the initial lineup, which was a little bit of a surprise. The starting lineup was J. Mike, as we expected. Tariq, kind of a surprise. Thought he'd come in off the bench, and a lot of people thought and kind of figured that Harun Zerno would be the starting two guard, the shooter. Dennis Bottaloo starts over Darren Buchanan. That was a little bit of a surprise. And unfortunately, not a surprise Manny Agboli got the start at center. I don't think we have much of a choice there. Nonetheless, Tariq was a surprise. There's some chatter about him not really being 6 foot or 6'1", kind of undersized. Can he play in this league? Okay, it's Ryder, but he played well. He was a playmaker and he was efficient. 4 for 8 from 3, 4 for 5. And 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Had 20 points. He wasn't the inefficient volume shooter and an undersized point guard that you had to worry about. He played well. Will he be able to play like that in the Big Ten? We'll see. But we're looking for positives here after last year's disappointing season. Another surprise, Dennis Badalu, and not in a good way. He got the start, 1 for 11 from the field. This is J. Mike stuff from a couple years ago. Putting up shots, nothing's falling. He wound up with 5 points, and he did get 6 rebounds, but boy, I got to tell you, that's a rough start, against Ryder. Yeah, I get it. You can have a bad night shooting. Hopefully, this is opening night jitters, whatever it might be, and this isn't a sign of things to come where he's shooting, 20% from the field. Nonetheless, a little bit of a surprise. Darren Buchanan, this surprised me. Okay, he didn't get the start, and he was that big physical guy that you thought he was, but there was something that in my mind, he was kind of Charles Barkley-like, in that he's not real fluid or athletic. He's just a physical specimen. He's athletic, and he likes to go to the basket. That surprised me. I think he's going to surprise some people. He had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He was only 2 of 7 from the free throw line. And I think he's about a 67% shooter. But he should have had a 15-point plus scoring line tonight, and he can be that kind of guy. So he did have a long 3, and he had a very long, extended shooting motion on that 3. So he might be a little bit of surprise. So good job by Darren Buchanan tonight. Lino Mark. So 13 guys saw playing time tonight, including Lino Mark. We thought he may be the guy that mid-season might be able to take over the point guard position because he's more of a natural position for him. Played about 11 minutes, 3 personal fouls. Had a reach-in foul and a couple others. So he kind of, like Badalu, had an inauspicious debut. Let's hope things get better there. Not a surprise. And he was kind of a surprise last year when he finished strong. And it's not a surprise that he started off strong tonight, and that's Dylan Grant. 17 points, 7 rebounds. Looks like he's going to be the man. So good on Dylan. And hopefully there's good things for him down the road and he becomes one of those program guys. Also, not a surprise, Agboli. 0 for 6 from the field. There was a stretch where he missed 3 putbacks or layups in a row. And man, you're a center in the Big Ten. We got to get some production out of you, man. Okay, he had 11 rebounds, but his size against Ryder, you probably should need to see more productivity and a little more fluidity under the basket. Boy, he's basically just like a rock under the backboards. Harun Zerno, 7 points, 2 for 5, 2 for 4 from 3. So he had some productivity coming off the bench. Caden Powers, now this is a guy that I like. I feel that he can be a really solid future 2 guard. And I hope that's the case. That's just my sense with him. Got some playing time and a guy that I think should be Someone we can count on. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist tonight. We indeed had a deep rotation with 13 guys getting minutes. Javante Ware had 2 points. Chris Wheely and Bryce Dortch. Bryce Dortch, I thought might get some more playing time, but not really. Neither one of them scored. But Kristen Wheely had 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Bryce Dortch had no points and a rebound. So that is a wrap-up of a Maryland preview and our first win in the basketball for the basketball season in a game and a style of play that I think is going to feel like Rutgers, and they will be better than we think they are. And I kind of feel I'm on the, believe it or not, I feel better than most people about this team. Yes, we don't have 2 top 5 recruits, but I think that kind of hurt us because we had to change how we played our game and how Steve Peichel is accustomed to playing, and it just didn't fit us. And our defense was really bad. I think even though we will have our shortcomings this year, as we have had in the past, I think we're going to be better than people think. You know, would I be shocked if we were 16-15? No, I'm kind of looking at a 15-17 season. You can go 15-17 with 2 top 5 recruits or not. This might be a time with likable guys that you can root for. We'll see how this goes. I think once we get up against the Purdue's and Maryland's and Michigan's and Illinois of the world, it'll be a different story. Nonetheless, everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Let's go RU beat Maryland. Then it's going to be a home game against Penn State that people might actually show up for if we have to play for something nonetheless. Enjoy the rest of your week. It's going to be windy. It's going to be getting cold. Maybe some talk of some snow next week. That's crazy. Nonetheless, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you the next time.